Now it is.
Good. We missed all that.
It's okay. I just said yes. I'm like, sure it is. Absolutely. It's really not.
Yeah. Okay. It's fine. Anyway, so tonight is about talking about onboarding and how we onboard our recruits. And we thought it'd be fun. We had kind of talked about like Brittany and I doing this for my team, because my team, this was something that came up with my team when we had our New Year. I don't even know what to call them. Conversations about how things are going. And onboarding was a big hot topic. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of have Brittany and I share our differences that are really still technically the same, like overall, like we still both check in daily with our new recruits. I just am more hands-on providing wording, and she's just more like, here's the information, and then ask them like, have you done this yet? And then we've decided, let's just make this all the teams and have all the executives answer your guys' questions. So that's what we're doing. So I know several of you filled out that survey that we shared to make sure that we had an idea of what you guys were curious about. There's a lot of questions, so we'll probably just be like jumping around and giving tips and advice. And I think like lots of things will be covered as we talk. But anybody like know how we should start this off? Clearly I'm not prepared for this.
Just, I would just like, was there some really good questions that got put into the survey? Not my questions. Skip over that one.
Well, I mean, there's just a lot of people who have asked, like, how do you decide how much hand holding, if you're going to hand hold versus not? How do you know when to kind of release somebody and let them sink or swim? What's the best way to be more hands off? I mean, there's a lot of questions, so we can start with some of that. Or maybe even just, so I had all of us Tiara wearers also do a survey or a poll, I guess, to figure out like what our styles are. And I think me and Christina were the only two that were more like handhold, which obviously that's how our team is as well, because that's what they've learned from us. And then I think the rest were a good mix of trying to gauge their recruit and go from there. A lot of us are revamping how we onboard as well. Yes, and Mandy, I don't know if Mandy had answered the question. I didn't go back and look, so I'm sorry.
Mandy's on the naughty list.
Mandy, do you do like hand holding? I think you do. Yeah, I don't know. I should have gone back and looked at it, but clearly it's been a day. Anyway, so most of the execs had said that they're a little bit more in between, like they like to give the information, but then be available and help out where needed. So I think that's like really the big thing. I saw like a lot of your comments where people were asking, you know, if you're not being hands-on, then how do you know how often to check in? And like that for me is a huge red flag, because being hands-on or hands-off has no bearing on your check-ins. Like your check-ins should still happen daily in those first 2 weeks with a new recruit. Like they need to know that you're there to support them, and they still need that guidance. So even if you're not doing what I do and saying, okay, today you're going to send this exact message to your host, you don't have to do that, but you still need to check in and say like, hey, did you send the information to your host today? So that's kind of the difference with the two of them, you know, whether you're hands-on or hands-off.
The panties all done.
Yeah, I don't know if that made any sense at all. I'll let somebody else talk for a little bit.
No, I'm not in charge. I can't turn Michelle's
Oh, sorry, I got it.
thing on mute. I will share with you girls something that I do. A lot of you guys probably already have this. If you don't have it and you want it and you're not in Treetop anymore, send me a message. I'll send it to you. If you're in Treetop, this is actually in Treetop in leadership, so you can find it in there. I just ripped it out of my binder. So I literally use this for every new recruit, guys. I'm a paper and pen gal. If you are not, you can find a handy dandy something online. You can basically make this in any other form. I like pen and paper, so this is what I do. So this is my new team member sheets. Name, their join date, when their client ends. I even actually put a little thing up here too with their 2-week mark on it. Their consultant ID, the sponsor's name, because obviously it's not always me. Shout outs for climb 1, 2, 3, and 4 and their promotion shout outs. This is a check mark list for, can you guys even see this? I'm so sorry. I don't know what you can see and what you can't see. Anyways, it has a checklist over here for if they're in a group chat with me yet, if they're my Facebook friend yet, if I've handed them the CSP, the hostess coaching script, the regular script, their Visly codes, the thing on the chapter books, cheat sheets, if they've been added in Treetop readers, their welcome post is done in Treetop readers. They've been tagged in the remind in Treetop readers, the Thrive product knowledge page, the Zoom phone call, and happy mail from me. All of that has a little checklist over here. So I literally, as I send stuff to them, go through and check it off so that I know that all the important things have been covered and done. I do not do all of this in one day. Okay. They do not get added in Treetop readers till after their launch party for me. That's just it's a rule for me. That is not a rule for all of Treetop. You do what you want. That's how I operate. I want them only relying on me until after the launch party is done. I do not want them getting into Treetop and going, oh, what's a book drive? Let's do a cards for a cause. You know what else sounds like fun? Hey, somebody mentioned that they were doing this in their parties. I'm like, no, I want you just to invite to your party. That's all we're doing right now. We are inviting to the party. So I don't let them see other things until afterwards, because I don't want to answer those questions until after their launch. Plus, I want them relying on me for those first few, well, hopefully 2 weeks they have their launch party done. I have goals, notes, and shout outs over here. Then I have like their launch party date and then the 3 dates afterwards with the name of who their party is. And then I don't do the colors test, you guys, until after their launch party. I don't honestly do it until I know if they're going to promote or not. I can usually gauge people unless they're green. If you're green, I love you, but I have a freaking hard time figuring out. Not always, okay? Like if they've asked all the questions and stuff, I can sometimes gauge if they're green, but every now and then, like if the green's not like the top color, for some reason, that one throws me off. But normally I can pick out every other color. So I don't usually ask them to do the colors test until they're going for promotion for me or are kind of interested in it, or if I just have no idea why I'm coaching them wrong. Then I ask them to do the colors assessment. Once they do the colors assessment, I change our chat colors. So if I know your colors and you have a chat with me, more than likely, especially for one of my first lines, I have changed the chat colors in our, like the little chat on Messenger. Your top color is the actual color of our chat. And then your secondary color is a heart for the little emoji. That also does another thing. It doesn't let you send me a thumbs up. So there's a bonus. So those are just a couple of things that I do once I onboard somebody. As Melinda said, I definitely make sure in the first 2 weeks, thank you, Angela. It was not my original idea. It was actually came from Beth York, but I will take the compliment. What was I going to say? In their first 2 weeks, I literally talk to them at least 5 days a week, if not 7, but at least 5 days a week for their first 2 weeks, or until their launch is over. That's probably more accurate for me than just their first 2 weeks. But first 2 weeks to when their launch is over, I am talking to them every single day. I do not give them the wording that they need to use. I don't handhold in the fact that it's always scripted and making sure that they have every single thing that they need. They do have everything they need. I gave you the CSP. I gave you my host coaching script. I gave you my Visly. You have everything you need. Figure it out. I will reference, oh yeah, it's back in the host coaching. Oh yeah, that's back in the CSP. Yep, that's in there. And I just keep referring them back because I want self-sufficient people that I do not have to handhold. I probably do lose people every now and then that might have been absolutely amazing if I handheld them. It's quite possible. I will fully admit that. I don't personally want to take the time to do that. I want self-sufficient people that can figure it out. That's who I'm looking for. I try to find my 20%, and where I'm saying 20%, I'm a very big John C. Maxwell fan. A lot of business books that I have read are from him. He is one of my favorites. One of the things that he has is an 80-20 rule. His 80-20 rule states that 80% of the people, or 20% of the people, do 80% of the work. And he's so right. Okay. It doesn't matter if you're talking about central group, doesn't matter if you're talking about leadership, doesn't matter if you're talking about upper level leadership. All of the things, 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. Okay. I am always out to find my 20%. In our business, only 5% of people promote up into team leader. Okay. So if you're thinking about that, I don't know who's talking. Okay. If you're thinking about that in the fact of numbers, you guys, okay, you'd have to, every 100 recruits you have, 5 of them will promote. That's 1 in 20. You have to recruit 20 people to get 1 team leader. That's what that's saying. Now, that doesn't mean you personally have to recruit them, right? That means that someone in your central group, or someone that's rolled up to you, or somebody, 20 people in your central group, no matter how they got there, because lots of my people are not people that I personally recruited, okay, are only 1 out of every 20 is going to actually promote. So if you're looking for your next leader, that means you might have to weed through some people. Might you get lucky and the very first person that you ever recruit promote? Absolutely, happened to me. Okay. Steph Troyer, she is a director on our team. My very first recruit, literally promoted beside me and promoted all the way up with me. So I can say that yes, that can happen. Is it common? Nope. So if you have a downline that is struggling, or if you're just like, I still have not promoted out my first team leader yet, how many people have you recruited? How many people, is that a continually thing that's moving? That's something you want to be looking at, but that's a whole nother topic. But I'm looking for that 20% of people. I'm looking for my next team leader. I am looking for that go-getter. I'm looking for the girl, because most people do not just stay consultants for life. Either they promote or they're out. So I am looking for those girls that want to hit it hard. Everybody else has all the resources. They obviously, anytime somebody messages me, I answer them back, guys. Okay. 24-hour turnaround is what is expected from home office. And so that is what I give, except for the weekends. You obviously get grace over the whole entire weekend. And usually the people that are asking me questions are the people that are actually working. I'm not saying always, but usually that's a big, huge red flag. If you have somebody that's like messaging you like, hey, I was like looking at the CSP and I had a question about this, or hey, what's your email so that I can add it in because it says to do so on there, or hey, where's the Remind app at? I didn't see the code. Like if they're asking you questions, that means they're actually going through the CSP, y'all. Okay. If they're asking you questions, that means that they're actually setting up their Visly account. This is fantastic. I'm obviously helping out with those sorts of things. But I also will give out resources before I give out flat answers, because I do want them to go find it for themselves. So why is everybody saying boom Darcy? What happened? What? Oh, well, yay. That is fantastic. Hopefully she's your next team leader. This is hurting. So anybody have any questions from that I just said? Hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an insight on how I onboard. It's kind of a filtering system for me. It's also very therapeutic for whenever I have someone that's like not making the cut. I literally just rip them out of my thing. I fold it in half, shred it, and throw it away. Like if we're on week 4 and you haven't done a darn thing, I don't go by my back office of who I follow up with. I only go by this, because this tells me if they're actually moving and doing something. Back office, I mean, obviously does that too, but I don't even have to look at their name. So you end up on my blacklist and I just don't care. Makes me feel really happy inside, guys. I know it's like great for recording this. This is why I don't record meetings. If you ever come to any of the leadership meetings, there's a reason we don't record them. I say stuff I shouldn't. So here we are. All right. Anybody ask a question? So I don't care if it hurts. The pro tip for when I go to convention or whenever you get your Tiara, Katie, roll up blankets or towels like they're in the hotel and stretch your Tiara out overnight. I've never worn the senior director one that much because sadly, when I earned this, we didn't have convention. So I need to stretch it out a lot, but that is your tip for these bad boys because they pinch. And yes, you absolutely want one. I love my Tiara. I mean, this one's it's even a little big for me to even get it in the screen there. She's quite top heavy. Also like me. All right. No one had any questions, just comments about
I mean,
that.
there were a few questions.
Oh, there was? Did I miss it?
Well, so hold on.
It was before the Darcy thing. I didn't scroll up far enough.
Yeah, I feel like I have done a lot of hand holding and I can't seem to get business builders. So I feel like I waste a lot of time with people who end up not using it. So, okay, I fully admit I am a hand holder. And I feel that those who are going to do well in this business, they do well because I have guided them and gotten them off to a really good start. But I will say that does not mean that I stick with everybody for 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks because I'm a hand holder. Like if you're not responding to me and you're not doing what I'm asking you to do and you're not invested and you're not involved, you get dropped real fast. Because like Brittany said, my people get all of the resources. Like I give them all of the stuff that they need up front. But then instead of me just referring back to it, I am like showing them how we use it. So instead of me just being like, go look at the CSP and you'll see the host coaching document there. Like I want them to have the host coaching document specifically from me. And then I tell them, I'm going to be walking you through this so you can see how to use all the aspects of it because there's a lot of information in there. And I want to make sure that you can help your hosts have incredible parties and really have success in this business. And so I walk them through their first party. Especially if they join like as a host. And so I was host coaching them through their launch and they did not see the host coaching document. I want them to be looking at it and I refer back to it every single day. So I will I'll send, so today you're going to be looking at 5 days before on the host coaching document. And you can see there that we're going to check in with your host and see how she's doing on those invites. This is what you're going to send. So I'm explaining why we are sending what we're sending, and then I'm giving them the exact wording. And they are just part of my daily host coaching that I do with my hosts anyway. So for me, it's not a ton of extra work because I'm going to sit down and do all my host coaching anyway. So they're on my list. I'm just going to check them off like I do with my hosts. But if they are not really responding to me, they're not working with their host, they're not giving me answers, they're jumping ahead, like whatever, they're just kind of doing their own thing, then I'm going to switch to a more hands-off approach. And I'm going to just start checking in more to see how they're doing and referring them back to those things. So you can easily flip back and forth depending on the person. Like you don't have to, if you are going to classify yourself as a hand holder, you don't have to handhold all day, every day for their first whole 8 weeks of climb. And I don't do that anyway. Like I'm not hand holding them for 8 weeks. I'm pretty much with them for their first 2 weeks consistently. And then after that, maybe every 2 to 3 days, I'm checking in, just kind of depending on what I've felt from them those first 2 weeks. Like if I can tell they're a go-getter and I really want to pour time into them, I will be more involved. But if I can tell that they're probably not going to last in this business, then I'm not going to be as involved. I'm just going to be checking in and letting them know I'm there to help, referring them back to our team page, things like that. So I don't know if that helps. Now I already forgot who asked that question.
Sharon asked another good one. I don't know. I think that was actually her question, but she asked another good one. What do you do about the people who ask questions all the time? They just don't seem to get things on their own, even if it's in the training. These are my favorite people, Sharon.
I get a lot of those people lately.
No, it totally happens.
Like
it happens to all of us. I mean, I'm sure everybody in here can probably go, oh yeah, I have one of those. Those are people that I literally will ignore for 24 hours every single time, like 23 hours, 59 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I got to get back to you. And I will literally drag it out every single time before I answer them. Because more than likely it's not going to be worth my time anyways. I do have to get back to them and I will. But if it's all things that I know that they could be looking up, and again, I'll be like, oh yeah, here's a quick answer for that. Don't forget that's always in the CSP, or, it's in my hostess coaching. Make sure you're going back and reading through that document. They usually get the hint after like day 4.
I had like my latest person, I kept referring to the CSP and she was like already farther down in it. And then every time I'd ask her to do something, she kept saying she didn't understand. She couldn't find it. And she had been looking in the back office training. So she was like, what's the CSP? She like didn't even understand what the
sometimes I
CSP
even
was, even though it
resend
was
it.
the document. I
Yeah,
ended up resending it, but I was just like, it was like, I didn't even know she wasn't even looking at the right thing because she was so confused every step of the way.
I've definitely had to resend it because I'm like, I'm not really sure why you're having such a hard time. Maybe we're looking at the wrong things. There's a lot thrown at you here in these first couple weeks. Let me resend that to you and see if maybe that helps. And that's usually just even a good reminder. I'm like, don't forget, put this in a really safe spot. This is like, this is everything you need to know. Another thing that I also make sure that I do is if one is like that and she's super annoying, I make sure that I tell my upline. And that's going to sound a little weird. But I'm going to use Jamie now as a reference, but Jamie had one, it's been a little while now, but, she was extra fun and she would go to Jamie, then she'd post on Treetop, then she'd message me. And normally, and I answer all your girls' downlines. And guys, the only reason I know this was Jamie was because I actually went and looked her up because I was like, who in the freak is this girl? She messages me like every 10 minutes. No, this is not okay. So I'm like, who does this chick belong to? I'm like, oh, it's Jamie. Well, okay, this is not right. So then she sends me like, because I'm not getting back to her in a timely manner, that what she feels like is a timely manner. And she was just like, Jamie's not getting back to me and I'm not getting the answers on Treetop. And basically she's like, she's tattletaling, right? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this just does not sound like Jamie at all. I was like, she's one of my executives. She's like a wonderful leader. If she's not getting back to you within 24 hours, I will have a stern talking with her. And I'm not joking. This is literally what I sent. I sent Jamie the voice message. And she was like, oh, no. I mean, like, she's not getting back to me within like an hour. And I'm like, oh, no. I was like, she has 24 hours to get back to you. I said, do you have the CSP? Do you have her host coaching? Do you have all the resources in Treetop? Oh, yes. I said, then you're good to go. I said it a little kinder than that, just a little kinder. And just basically told her, you'll be fine. So I also would say, tell your upline so that, if they're also seeing that happening, it's not going to be so nice if you're like, I have 24 hours to get back to you. Have your upline kind of step in there and be like, just so you know, we all have families, we're all busy. Cause I, of course, even through all that in there, I was like, Jamie's a busy mama, blah, 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 blah. She's definitely on her phone all the time and we don't want you to be on your phone all the time either. And I kind of just go from there. So I kind of also give people a warning. I also preface that with everyone that I message. I let them know, like, I don't have notification Messenger. I don't have notification for Facebook. I on when I turn phone off because if I did, I like anxiety when I see the little red dot that I feel like I need to be on. So that's my way around it. But just ignore them for 24 hours, Jerome. Ignore them and keep ignoring
It's
them.
really hard to do for that
They'll
long.
figure it out.
I got texted
Do you
at
have
like
your
4:30 in the
notifications on?
morning. Oh no, she
She sent you a what?
she texted me at 4:30 in the
How
morning
does she
the
have your
other
phone
day
number?
because we were texting because she doesn't use Messenger.
Oh no.
I signed up for Project Broadcast. I have
Okay.
one of those phone numbers now.
Yes. Oh,
I am
now.
not
Okay.
responding
So we learned our lesson. Okay.
I'm not responding at 4:30 in the morning.
No. I mean, because I'll send messages out to leaders. I won't probably send out to central group girls, but like leaders, like they would get messages from me at all hours of the night. But I also expect all of my leaders to have their messages turned off.
Yeah.
Because I also preach that to all my first lines. Turn your notifications off. No such thing
No.
happens on Messenger. And I also like all my first lines have my phone number. Other than that, and even you can ask my first lines. If they ask me stuff in like text message, I will take it back over to Messenger to answer them. I want everyone messaging me in Messenger about work. Text message is fine. If it's an emergency, obviously, please text me. I don't care what time of night it is. I probably won't wake up to it because I sleep like a log. But if I'm awake, I want, if it's an emergency, I want to know. But there's very few things that are an emergency in UBAM, like very few. Okay, did I miss anything?
All right, I'm going to move over to the questions that were asked again. So there's a lot of people that have questions about, I'm going to try to like summarize several of these. So this person is asking, Danielle is asking, how to balance making it doable so they want to stick with it versus teaching them to use all the resources available and overwhelming them. But then at the same time, there's a lot of questions that are asking things like, do you run the launch party for them? When do you not run the launch party? Like in what time frame of them joining? So some questions about like the launch party, and when you run it versus having them run it, things like that. So I kind of feel like those go a little bit together. Does any other execs want to talk? It doesn't need to be me and Brittany the whole time.
So I can do it. So I go by feeling when I'm onboarding everybody, but I go by feeling by everything in life. So this may not be for everybody. But basically, if they're not showing the response, like if they're not taking the actions like Brittany was talking about, they're not getting their launch party set up, they're not setting out messages, they're not getting back to you. These are all red flags that they are not going to be putting in the work. I am one that I hold on to people really long. But what
Unhealthily long. Like it's bad, guys. It's unhealthy. Go ahead.
I'm getting better. But basically, you shouldn't be the one doing the work. Just like any job, if they're not doing the work, you can't do it for them. And definitely finding the people that are following direction, getting back to you, asking those questions when they come up, responding to you, because I get ghosted and that's not fun. That's the biggest part. What were the other parts of the question? I'm sorry. For some reason, Melinda, I have a hard time with my computer hearing you.
Can everybody else hear me okay?
Yeah, it's something to do with my computer. Don't worry.
My blanket. So, what was the question? I don't even know. Oh, how to like help them feel encouraged and excited versus overwhelmed with all the resources.
Okay. So this is something I worry about because people do get overwhelmed and that's when they disappear. So I like to give little chunks and I don't give another chunk until they're ready. I give the CSP, but then I check in daily. So, oh, what have you done so far? And then I see where they go and I kind of take them as the lead as to where I guide them next. I mean, everything is on a timeline, so that does make it a little more difficult, but there are people that are easily overwhelmed, of course. So breaking it down into little chunks instead, like, okay, well, you've done this part. The next big part is this. And even if you meet them on Zoom, I found that helps. And you like share your screen and show them how to do things, or they can share their screen. That can help. Always just, congratulating them all the time. Like, oh, that's great. I'm so happy you've sent out 15 messages. That's great. Take another 5 minutes and send out 10 more. And just like you do with your hosts, breaking it down to little chunks. That's kind of what I do. And it really depends on the person. So I have a hard time kind of doing an overall with this. I'm not sure if anyone else does anything different.
I mean, I like to tell them right from the start, like before I even send anything, I'm going to be sending you quite a few documents and they're all, like, you're going to be referring back to them all the time. So make sure you're saving them somewhere that you can easily access. It's going to feel like a lot, but just remember, like with any new job, there's a lot of training up front. There's a lot to remember. You feel like bombarded with information. And then as you actually process through and start doing the things that you're being taught to do, it all starts to sink in. So this is going to be the same as that. So I kind of like just compare it to any new job. And then I remind them that I'm going to be here with them the whole time. Like I will be here to help you if you have questions, if you're confused, if you don't remember exactly what I told you, and you're not exactly sure how to do something. That's what I'm here for, is to help guide you and make sure that you're understanding what I'm sharing. So just know that in the beginning, it's going to feel like a lot, but within a couple of weeks, you're going to feel like there's a really good rhythm and pattern to this. It's going to start to feel very repetitive. And you're going to like really see that it's the same thing over and over. Every party you set up will feel the same. Every host that you're working with, it's going to be the same process. And so you're going to start to feel that repetitive nature, and it's not going to feel so overwhelming anymore. So just bear with me as we learn the process, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of how I preface it. Just to like set them up from the start. Like, don't let yourself feel overwhelmed, because it doesn't have to be. It's a lot of information, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And
Anybody
then
run the launch party for them?
I was just going to touch on that too. So there's a lot of people that ask questions about like, how do you know when to have them take over? And I think like, okay, I like to put myself in their shoes. If I were to join the day of my party, how would I feel if my sponsor was like, okay, well, you're going to take over running this whole party? I would probably cry and be like, this is not what I signed on for. No, you told me you were going to help me with all this. So I like to put myself in their shoes. And for me, that really means like once the party page is open, it's just too difficult to switch everything over. Like I've already set it all up. I already have Visly running, but I do make them start taking on more responsibility. So if they're up for it, I will have them do some recommendations themselves. Or sometimes I will, have them kind of craft their own posts that are outside of the scripted messages or scripted posts we have, but things that like let their guests see how excited they are. But overall, if they were already hosting with me and we already have things going, my goal is to help them have the most successful party possible, because I want them to want to work. And if they're so like, I'm so focused on them doing all the things instead of me doing the things and explaining to them why we do what we do, and like walking them through the process in the background, so they can see like why I'm checking in so many times and why I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Just like almost having them shadow me essentially during their launch. It just helps them have that much more success. And so I'm fine doing that. Now we're all different, but I just feel like it would be so overwhelming for them to already be in the process of like the party's already running. And now I'm telling them like, we're going to switch Visly over to you, because it's not that simple. But if they join, like we're starting the coaching and they've just started inviting and they're like, yeah, I want to join, I'm having them run their own party. They have plenty of time. They can focus on the invites first. Then we can set up the party page. Like there's plenty of time to teach them how to do all that. So it just kind of depends on when they join in the host coaching process for me.
I do the same exact thing as Melinda, but the only thing that I do different there is if it's somebody's promotions on the line, they're all getting ran by that person. No one gets to have their own launch party if this is coming down to a promotion. So Olivia, yours is what made me think of it. Obviously you're here and that makes me so happy. But if we were having somebody that just joined and we need to get the $500, do not care if they know how to use Visly. I don't care if they know why we're doing anything. I just need them to invite as many people as possible to this darn party so that we can get them to 500. That's the only exception that I make. All of my roles go out every role that I have goes out the window when it comes to promotions. That I won't be on my phone around as much. Like the last day of the month, literally, like that's the only emergencies in my opinion. Promotions are like that is it for me. So that's the only time that any rule that I'm telling you, if I'm ever in like a promotion chat with you and you're like, Brittany says she never does that. That's because I don't. I do whatever it takes to get somebody promoted, no matter what that is. But everything else Melinda said, if the party's already started, we run it. If it's not started, then they run it. If there's a lot of pressure together, once I do that together. Oh wow, Natalie, time suck. Absolutely not. You get one a day. Period. That's it. I do one the day after the party. It's for all the people that ordered the night before. One the day after that. There's just one thank you post a day. That is all, folks. Like I don't take the time to do individual thank you posts, but I used to when one thank you post total. That's my girl. They are really good reminders, Natalie, if they have their notifications on. They're also really good annoyers if they do have their notifications on, and then they're ticked because they're seeing thank you posts all the time. So I just do one a day and call it good. Also because I just don't want to do that every single time I see an order come through. Like that just, I don't want to do it. Party tracker. Did I do, what's a party tracker, Jessica? Ooh, sure, not like that. I do like that it reminds people a little bit. So I do like the thank you posts at once a day-ish, but I don't know what a party tracker is. Christina, I went to that method for a while too. Now I have someone that does my thank you post for me. So that's just like my golden rule. I keep track of all my host info on to check off the host coaching. Oh, okay. I have that too. I thought like you had like something in your party that was called a party tracker. I'm like, she knows something I don't know.
Okay. I think there were no other questions, right? I'm totally reading on this spreadsheet. So if there's questions, I'm not seeing
Sharon
them.
had a question up top. What do you do when you have a party booked and they aren't doing each enough EA to not fall behind? Like you have a new recruit and she's not keeping up with her own stuff for her new party that she just has booked. Do you tell them to push the party back? I actually let them fail, Sharon, if I'm completely honest with you. It's not the right answer, but that is what I do. Huh?
Even if it's a party for someone else, not their launch.
Correct. Yep. I let it flop. And then I tell them what they did wrong. Because more than likely, if it's going to flop, like we could probably still get them to rebook if they're truly going to go after it. But I'm talking to them every single day. So if this party is flopping and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing every single day, I'm not rescheduling this sucker to have to go another 2 weeks out. Like you're going to go on my blacklist really quickly. I'm very direct with people when I'm talking with them, especially new people, because I want them to know that I take this obviously seriously. And what they have to do every day is not hard. This is not hard. So if you can't figure that part out or make enough time to literally spend 10 minutes doing what you need to do, this isn't for you. So I'm very harsh when it comes to that, but no, I just totally let it flop. And then I'm just like, oh, that flopped, and I'll ask them, why do you think that was? And they're just like, I don't know. I'm like, really? I'm like, well, all righty. And so then I'll tell them. And then they usually block me. So it's fun. It's a great time. I would love to see, I wish there was like a tally number of how many people have ever blocked you. I totally would win and make that a contest. Everybody's going to think I'm the most horrible person by the time we get off this Zoom call. It's going to be great. So no one will say that I was lying though. I was bluntly honest with y'all.
For me, I make sure, and I do this with my hosts too. I check in twice a day. So like I send the coaching in the morning, but if I have not heard back from them it kind of depends. Like sometimes it depends on the host, like or the new recruit. If I know they have a full-time job, I'm not going to message them at 2:00 in the afternoon when I sit down to work. But I usually will do like real brief work right after dinner at like 6:00. And if I have not heard back from them yet, I will send them a quick message like, hey, did you get my message this morning? Because a lot of times, like I send my message pretty early in the morning. My kids wake up early. It's like 7 a.m., sometimes a little bit before that. For some people, they're not functioning at that point, and they might look at it and then forget about it. And the day gets busy and they've completely forgotten. And so when I send them that, like, hey, did you see my message? It's a quick reminder. And if they don't respond to that one either, then the next day they get a, hey, didn't hear from you yesterday. Is everything okay? And then at that point, if they're not responding to that, I pretty much know like this host is going to ghost me or this recruit is not going to be worth my time. So I'm a pretty quick judge of that. And I'm not going to say like, after I've done the, is everything okay? I completely drop them. Like, I'm going to wait then at least 24 hours before I message them again and just be like, hey, are we still good to go for this? Regardless of what it is, whether it's a recruit or a host, like I'm still going to check in one last time. But then that's kind of like, now the ball's in your court. I'm here, I'm available, but I can't do this for you. And so, yeah. So like Brittany said, then they fail. If their host doesn't get rewards, that's not really my fault. Like I have done what I need to do. I've done my due diligence, and I have to be okay with knowing that I've done what I need to do and that I can't control other people's actions.
Guys, when your team gets big enough, and it's going to happen, right? Or when it gets to wherever you're happy with whatever success level you're at, I can't control I can't control anyone on my team. I can only influence the people that are beneath me. You know, that's all I can do. I have literally given this person every single bit of anything I can. Now, if I somehow, had thrown the launch and, this girl booked, obviously I gave her the party, blah, 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 but I have contact with this girl somehow. And I know that the party didn't even get off at all because the recruit was stinky. I will occasionally, this doesn't happen often because I don't normally run my recruits parties. But if it does happen, I will reach out to them and be like, hey, I know that, something came up with Melinda. She's just got a real busy life right now. And she feels so bad that she can't do your party. I tell you what, though, I'll go ahead and give you an extra $25 in free books and we'll just change the date and I'll go ahead and do that for you. And it's never been a problem. So for the blues, I'm not completely heartless, just it's a smaller heart than y'all. And it's still because I want the party. I can't say it's because I really care. It's because I really want the party. But it is a way to make sure that that host is being still taken care of. It does put another party in my lap. Now, obviously, I would ask the consultant, hey, do you want to try again? Maybe we can see if we can reschedule. But usually by that point, they're not messaging me back, and then I'm just done with it. So everybody's blue fades once they get to leadership, Jessica. Now, even the highest of blues, even Jamie's blue has at least dropped a point or two. Like never, none. Oh my God.
I'm still maxed out. It is ridiculous. Ridiculous. But for my husband, it drops. No, just kidding. But no, it's not going away, Brittany. I retest all the time.
Gosh, mine actually grew. So there's that. But hanging out with all you girls, I don't think I had much of a choice. All right. What other questions we got on there, Melinda? And make Melanie answer something.
There are a lot of questions about handholding.
So we've covered most of that. I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of funny to me because I feel like it's my team that really I handhold. And so it's mostly my team, but it's not my team that's asking these questions. So it's kind of funny to me. We have talked about it over and over. I think the really key thing is when you guys are all saying handholding, you're talking about those people who are technologically challenged, who cannot follow simple directions, who, I don't know. You get what I'm saying? That is not handholding to me. That is just your typical needy person. And referring to handholding those people is not the way that I'm referring to handholding, as in my approach to how I onboard. So I just wanted to clear that up too. Those people that are super needy, you have to, we've already said this, give them the space to figure it out, or they're not going to, and they're not going to be worth your time. That's really what it comes down to. And it's hard. I know a lot of us are probably blue. We have very high numbers of blue in all of our teams. And so that's a really hard thing to think about. I'm high blue myself. And so I struggle with it too. I just feel bad, I'm letting them down or whatever, but you're not. They are their own person. They are an adult. They get to make their own decisions. And if they're being that needy, it's because they're lazy. They're just lazy and they don't want to do the work. And so they would rather ask you the questions, lean on you very heavily rather than go and find the information themselves. It's all there and available to them. So give them the space to go and find it. And if they still are not, then one thing that I have implemented, and I have no idea who told me this, maybe it was Brittany, maybe it was a training, I don't know.
If it's good, I'm taking credit for it.
Okay. If you come back to like 15 questions from one person because you have given them the space to go find that information, and you've waited, you know, even if it's not 24 hours. I mean, sometimes I wait 12 hours and I come back to like 15 different questions. I will not answer all those questions. I will answer one question. Answer one question, that's it. And then I wait again before I respond. And I don't know where I learned that, but it shows them like, I'm not here to answer all these questions. You can go find the information yourself. And I might say in there like, oh, definitely go check out the CSP, or definitely go check out the guides in Bloom or whatever, and then answer one question and then wait again.
That was not me. I thought you were going a different route. So I do not get to take credit for that, guys.
I think
on
it
my
was a
bit.
training. I don't know.
Yeah, that was not me. Totally not me. Who wants to speak on keeping their downline motivated? Melanie, Katrina, Natalie, Christina. Oh, your hair looks really pretty. Go ahead. Sorry, I got distracted.
I'm trying to find whose hair is pretty.
Oh, Christina's. I love her hair. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I really love her
Yeah,
hair.
her hair is always pretty.
It's
I'm
always
jealous of
amazing.
the ringlets.
Yeah.
My new thing that I'm excited about for keeping my downline motivated is my weekly accountability meeting that I'm doing for my leaders. But I just wonder like how this might translate into my central group, like just this super structured, it's like more structured than most things I've ever done. So that.
Well, you're gonna have to share it a bit.
What did you say?
You have to share it. Tell them what you're doing.
So what I'm doing with my leaders is we're having a 20-minute Zoom every Monday, where they have to report in on whether they did the things that they said they were going to do for their business that like previous week. And it's like been really fun so far. And I think because it's maybe a little uncharacteristic for me, like that's not what they're used to from me. I don't know. Who's here? Who's listening to me say this? Catherine, Rosetta, whoever's watching the recording, I guess. I don't know. They'd have to speak to that, I guess. But just because it's so structured and they're not used to a ton of, I don't think they're used to a ton of structure from me, I think they would say. So I'm trying to think about how that would apply to my central group, but I wonder if there might be central group members who even on an individual level would benefit from a 5-minute phone call, like at a set time every week. I mean, this would have to be like your, well, no, if you're trying to motivate people in the first place, it's not going to be your runners. Sorry, maybe this wasn't really a relevant answer to the question at hand.
It's still a good answer. We'll keep it in the bank.
I mean,
I can speak to this.
the truth about keeping people motivated is that's not a thing that we can do. We cannot provide motivation for people. So I think it's more a question of like, okay, like, do you want to work? So now you need to show me that you want to work. And this is like, maybe this is one thing that will help people figure that out, help you as the leader figure that out, help them figure out whether they're cut out for it or not. I don't know.
That was literally gonna be my answer, and that's why I didn't want to take it. I was gonna be like, you can't motivate anybody. Like that motivation has to come from within. That's not something that you can do. You can dangle carrots, right? Especially if they're orange. Oh, absolutely, you can dangle carrots. But home office already does that for us. No one in here should be dangling any carrots in front of anybody in their first 8 weeks. There are so many carrots that are already available. You know, just use those. And not everybody's orange, obviously. But that actual motivation, like guys, like I love home office challenges, guys. I work for them every single month. That is not like, okay, we're going to get real here because it's something we've all been talking about in upper level leadership. The Treat Your Show challenge, 10 recruits for $100 in books, guys. Do we all think that that's like whoa, I'm going to go recruit 10 people tomorrow to get $100 in free books. No, you could throw a party and get $100 in free books for a lot less work than recruiting 10 people, right? But I mean, being honest, Gret, we have got to stop recording meetings. Like somebody's going to totally send this in the home office. Like that's not something that, looking at that, I wouldn't be like, yep, I'm totally recruiting 10 people. I'm getting me $100 in free books. No, that's absurd, right? That's not why we do things. That's not my motivation to do it. Yes, am I going to be happy with $100 in free books? Yes, am I going to be happy with $300 gift card? Well, my husband is. He's getting the Dick's gift card. I didn't want any of the things. I want the $100 in free books. I want the more store credit. I did want some of the things, but I didn't want any of those gift cards. So that motivation has to come from within, Regina. You can inspire people. You can influence people. I lead by example. I don't want ever any of you girls going, well, Brittany just sits at the top and just collects a paycheck on us. That's my worst nightmare. Like my heart rate literally, like it probably just skipped like 4 beats. I would hope that you all would like, you know, see that I don't do that. But I also want to prove that. I want to go live and tell people I had 21 parties, 22 last month. I want them to see that I have sales numbers at the top. I want to see that they can know that I actually do fail occasionally, right? But what did I do to reverse it? You have to have a point of vulnerability with people. You have to have the openness, which is what I struggle with, y'all. But I know that that's a huge component in making sure that there's at least a little bit of transparency of what I do in my business, but leading by example. Like when I tell you girls that over and over and over, I mean that wholeheartedly. Your team will follow what you're doing. Okay. There are months where, or there's places and times when I've gotten into like no parties and I'm just in a bummer mood and life sucks, like really sucks. Okay. I've had some yucky suck times in UBAM and I start to just get in the mope train. Guess what happens with my team? And I cannot blame anybody else but me. You are the leader of that. Getting your girls excited, they can hear that in your voice. That's why if any of you have ever messaged me ever on Messenger, you've heard my voice, I'm sure at least once, if not daily, for some of my first lines, right? I'm sure there's some of your husbands that literally roll their eyes because now I can talk as long as I want on one voice message. It's glorious. But it's because I want you to hear my voice. I feel that it's super important. And Regina, I know you use voice message too, because you and I literally talk for literally days. But it's important. I want you to hear when I'm being sincere. I want you to hear not that motivation, because I don't feel like you can motivate anybody, but I do feel like you can inspire them with how enthusiastic you are about what you're doing. Get like newbie excited about it. Every single new recruit, you guys, I start out the very exactly same. You're my favorite new recruit. I'm so excited you're here. Some of my other first lines make fun of me all the time because I turn on a switch. Apparently I didn't know I did this until they pointed it out. And now I know that I do. They were in rooms with me at convention or whatever. And I'll be starting to message like a downline and I'll be like in like a gruesome conversation with somebody. And all of a sudden, like I switch into perky Brittany mode and just start talking like everything's just hunky dory. And this is the best day ever. And I'm so excited you're here. Because I want them to feel that people do things because of emotions. How they feel about things. If I can make them or help them feel excited or get into that moment, I know that that's where that magic happens. And that's where Darcy's talking about my dark side. We're going to talk more on Friday about that. But that's one of the ways I do it. I can help people feel that emotion about things by how I'm reacting to it myself. If they sent out 20 invites and only had 5 people say yes, I can either react of, oh, well, that really stings. Or I can be like, oh my gosh, you have 5 people respond to you. You're doing amazing. And I can literally act like it's just like the best thing I've heard all day. That's what we want to do. That's that getting them that excited, making them feel like those little things that they're doing are huge is going to motivate them to want to keep moving. Oh my gosh, you had a flop party. Do you know how many people have flop parties on our team? Oh, it happens all the time. Oh my gosh, my upline, she had 4 launch parties before she even got off to the roof. And now she's a senior director. I use other people's stories all the time, or I use my own, obviously, when I can. But being able to tell that story, which is obviously goes with our theme for everything with UBM, but getting behind that and that emotion is so important. So if anything's going to keep them going, I think that has a big part to do with it. I rambled. for like 10 minutes.
I'm going to add to that a little bit. So in Regina's question, she mentioned like, especially motivating them after they don't get very many bookings from a launch. And I totally agree with what Melanie and Brittany said about we can't really motivate them. That has to come from within, but we can encourage them. If they had a really crappy launch, have them do another one, you know, send them the Erin Mitchell video where she talks about doing 4 launch parties, and like help them learn, like, well, maybe this first launch party wasn't super great because you didn't ask enough people, and doing a second one, you can turn it around and have an amazing party and hopefully get a bunch of bookings from that one. And that will be very telling to you right there. If their second party, if they agree, number one, if they agree to do a second launch, and number two, if the second one isn't very good, it's possible their circle is just not very good for parties, but it also shows like, are they really trying, and are they worth like investing a bunch of your time in if you're like giving them coaching and they're just not doing the work.
You also have to remember, which Brittany already said this, the 80-20 rule. Not everyone is going to want this business. Like they might think they want it in the beginning, then they decide they don't want it. And if we're constantly just trying to revive the dead, that's exhausting and you will burn yourself out in the process. So if they want it, they're going to show you they want it. You're going to know that they want it. You're going to watch them doing big things and thinking outside of the box when they're not able to do the big things that they want to do. And then that's when you can really pour into them. But the rest, you just got to learn to let them go. And then touch base. Like, obviously, I still go back to my entire central group, all of my inactives, and, you know, invite them to personal parties and things like that. And sometimes that gets me bookings again. Sometimes I have people rejoin. And so, like, you're never just completely dropping them, but if they're not working, they're not working. And you putting more energy into the business than they're even willing is going to just cause you to burn out and cause you to resent this business. So don't do that, I guess.
It's Melinda's tip for the day. Don't do that. I mean, I should go back and look at how many people have been in my central group since January. That'd be a fun statistic. Keep talking. I'll come back.
Okay. So a couple others that I think are good to touch on. So Christine asked about what are your systems for after climb? So we haven't really talked about like whether you are very one-on-one with them throughout those first couple of weeks and then kind of taper off. What do you do after their climb is over? Anybody want to talk about that? Christina, you unmuted yourself.
I never got back on mute, I don't think.
Oh, I saw your screen flash up. I thought you unmuted. Okay, well, I'll just talk. So for me, I am tapering off my touch-ins with them as we get closer and closer to the end of that 8 weeks. So by the end of the 8 weeks, they're pretty self-sufficient if they're actually working this business. And if they're not working. So I'm not really touching base with them that much anymore anyway. But if they are working, I am, by the end of the 8 weeks, I'm probably touching base for sure weekly, maybe a couple times a week, just depending on like how active they are, how many parties they're doing. And so after their climb is over, that's the same thing. Like I check in with my active central group weekly. I check in with my leaders weekly. And so that's just kind of my consistent thing. Now, if they're not working super hard, I might do every couple of weeks to check in, things like that. So, I mean, you'll just kind of find your own system. But remember, you've given them the information they need. You've helped get them off to a good start. And by that time, 2 months in, this business is so repetitive that they should have a pretty good handle on the everyday party stuff. And at that point, they should really be coming to you for the other things. Like if they want to look more into Cards for a Cause or doing a book drive or something kind of outside of the box, they might need to come back to you and touch base again. But definitely touching base with them often, and not always about business. Like reach out and be paying attention to make sure you're friending. I know some people don't like to friend request a lot of people, but there's ways to like set up parameters on Facebook where you can like have lists of people. I don't know how any of that works, but there are ways to do it if you don't want them seeing all your stuff. But be friends with them because you want to see what's going on in their lives and you want to be able to ask them about it, because that's going to build that relationship and it's going to show them that you care about them more than just helping you make some extra money, because that's not what it's about. Like, you do care about them.
I do the same exact thing. I'm probably not as good about following up every week with people. I do it, I tag them in anything. So like I have my tagging list. That would probably be something I could share with you girls at how I do that. I don't know if any of you guys ever pay attention or not when I tag people in Treetop. It's in like a list form, like literally like their names are like their own like little list. No one even cares. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you anyways. So every single month at the end of the month, I go back into my back office and I look at who had sales last month. Anything over $100 makes my tagging list. And that means that I'm going to tag you in anything and everything that I'm tagging people in Treetop. I try not to tag more than once a day. Try. I'm not going to say that's always a doable thing, but that's my goal. Then if something is super fun and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like I want to make sure that I send them a message about it too. If you hover over the tag in a message, you can instantly message them right from there. So it makes it very easy to be able to message all my people that are working really quickly. So my tag list gets updated every single month at the first of the month. It's one of my first of the month activities that I do. I go back, I redo my tagging list. And that's how I keep that list of people. And so that's how I follow up with most of my girls that I don't usually reach out to them one-on-one. Unless it's about something that's in Treetop. I am not as good about like, hey, I saw it was your kid's birthday. Like if I see the post pop up, like I'll comment on the post, but I'm not as good about reaching out one-on-one. Usually after the 8 weeks, I'm either you're going to promote or let me know if you have any questions. Like that's just pretty much where we're at. Like either you're going to, keep hosting your parties. Cause again, it's stuff that they've been doing for 8 weeks, more than likely. And most people, if they're not promoting up, are eventually going to leave. I did look up my statistics. I've had 15 people in Climb since January 1. And out of those 15, 5 hit Climb.1, 3 hit Climb.2, and only 1 hit anything else past that. Okay. Same coaching for every single person. What makes the difference? It's the person. It's the person that wants it. I don't even know Megan Miles might be on here or not, but she just promoted as of March 1st. She's only been with the company 6 weeks. She's fantastic. She got the same thing that everybody else gets. There's nothing different. And she's not blue, so she doesn't have that ooey gooey feeling thing. She's green gold. Pray for me. I have to learn how to coach green. We don't have as many of you lovely ladies on here. Yes, it's who I told you all about. Yes, I'm so excited. She's absolutely fabulous. But, like we have people that too, though. I mean, Jamie, how long were you with me, love, before you promoted? Oh, dear Jesus.
A year, a little over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it took us another, 2 years to promote you up. Like, I mean, it was.
Then it was like
forever.
5 in a row, 5 months where I was just like, boom, boom, boom.
Yes. It was 2020.
great.
I love 2020. Like,
That was great.
Just that part. There were some parts that were great. Like thinking about those kinds of things, you just never know when someone is going to blossom. So I don't give up. I didn't give up Melinda either. She didn't want to have a launch party. God love her. I forced her into that bad boy. Lucky for me, that really worked out in my favor. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't want you to feel like I don't ever completely, if somebody messages me, obviously I'm going to help them. I'm going to follow up in those first 8 weeks. But after that, I'll see you at my inactive hostess party or inactive consultant party. I'll tag you in things as long as you're still doing stuff. But after that, like for the bingo board, Darcy, I don't know if she shared what she sent in a chat to me earlier, but if she didn't, I'll yell at her in a little bit. You still didn't do it yet? Oh, dear Jesus. Okay. I'll make her do it. Just do that right now. You're only half paying attention to me. It's fine. So Darcy had some really great wording for what she sent out to all of her Central Group girls for the bingo board. And for those that are not on Treetop right now, just ignore this part. But I plan on sending the same thing out. It's something kind of fun and exciting. Where was I going with this? Oh, but I'll use that tagging list to do that. I like the hyperlinks in the tagging system. So if you want to do that, it's just an easy Word document that I copy and paste out of. I have all my executives on there. I have all the girls that are on Ohio on there. I have all of my first lines. So if I ever need to tag somebody quickly, it's easy for me to just copy paste, and I don't have to like sit there and go through who needs to be tagged and who doesn't. It keeps things very simple. That's okay. Stealing's great in this business.
Okay. So last question that I feel is different than all the others is Samantha asked about the new UBAM University. Where do you fit this in, or do you, for your onboarding?
And Natalie, how about you? You love resources. That's like your thing.
I have not used that yet.
I'm gonna ask it again because not everybody can hear me. My UBAM, okay. My UBAM University. How do you fit that in, if at all, to your onboarding? Okay, I can't talk. So.
That was pretty good. That was decent. We're going to give you an A+ for that.
I have not used it yet. I didn't really have the opportunity to use it yet, but I also think that we have so much with the CSP already. I think it would just add on to feeling overwhelmed.
Katrina, do you use it? I don't know if Squee might do a little bit different. No? Okay.
I mean,
I don't use it at all until I need to refer somebody to it that needs extra help in a certain area. And honestly, I usually just refer them back to our guides on Treetop. I don't even usually refer them to there.
The new training just opened mid-February, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we haven't even had it that long. So our CSP has 3 places, right, Christina? Where it links directly to certain videos in my UBN University, but the old way you could link directly to it, and the new way it's a little bit trickier. So we're not really sure yet how it's going to work, because I'll be honest, like I don't force people to do every single step on the CSP. I'm pretty picky and choosy. I'm like, I want you to focus on this. So, but the information is also available in our guides. So I think it's great for the greens who want tons and tons of information, and they can go and they can work through that training on their own. And it's really great training. But for me personally, I think that the continue to rise training once you're a leader is so much more impactful. And that's where I want to force. I'm going to use the word forced because we actually do force it.
Voluntold. Yeah.
Yeah. So we like force others to do that training. And it's still go back to it at times when I'm like, okay, I know there's something in here that was really beneficial for me, and I'll go back and I'll watch those again because it's just really good information.
I love the Rise training in back office. If you have not done that yourself ever, hopefully you have. If you're in Treetop, you're supposed to. I would or if you're just like, it's been years, I'm not sure. You should go back and watch it. Oh, that's really good training. Really, really good training. Yeah, Olivia, you'll get a ton from it. New consultant client video is helpful. Okay.
I'm glad you said that, because I make my girls do it before they get into our lounge.
Yeah, so do we.
Sometimes it takes a little while, and sometimes I think they wonder why they have to do so much training. So now they heard it from the queen herself.
For those of you that are new and you're working through it, you can watch them in fast speed. So
Yeah.
Are you talking about Leadership Lounge, Melanie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was like, you make them do that before they can get into your reader generation page. I'm like, that is like a lot.
No, we actually took away all our requirements for people to join the cooperative.
Yeah, I don't have any requirements for that either. I've never have. I have personal requirements that I require my girls to have their launch party, but I don't like, you all can do whatever you want. If you want to add your people in on day one, go for it. I just feel like it makes
Got it.
a muddle of a mess. Oh, good night, Jessica. I think we answered pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
mean, there's
Jessica's
one
name.
more question. I'm not really sure that any of us can truly answer this because we all have such different style, like personalities and styles. But Christine asked, what have you implemented that you feel has streamlined your process the most?
Is that Christina Park?
No, Chris, I think it was Christine from our
It
team.
just sounded like a question that would come from her butt. Is she on here? Like it just sounds like her. Oh, I see Christine's face now. I think she just took it off. She was like, don't talk to me, Brittany. Oh, there she's back.
Christina Park. She did ask, what's the most successful training to be more hands off? That was Christina.
She's great. I love her so much, but oh my heavens.
I mean,
So what did Christine say? Sorry, I got angry because I thought it was Christina.
Does anybody have one thing that they have implemented that has helped them be more streamlined?
The CSP for me. That's my, we got rid of it for a hot minute. We had it, we got rid of it, we went back to it. It's my go-to. But you guys have a CSP, yeah. And I know Darcy does Trello, and there's a couple other girls I think that do Trello. Melanie, you guys have CSP. Right?
You're frozen, Brittany. Always funny. Yeah, so we have the CSP as well. So for me, like personally, obviously I use the CSP and I love our like revamped host coaching document. But for me personally, I would die without the calendar system that I use to track my personal host coaching and then what team members I'm working with. Because if I don't have that stuff written down, they don't get a point of contact from me. Like, I just don't remember, which I guess is similar to Brittany's form thing. I don't know what you call that, but
Just new team member sheet. It's super. Yeah. I mean, I use that every day when I'm flipping through and I'm in the back office, looking at numbers to make sure my numbers are right, or obviously to see if they hit a climb dot or whatever. But I check those every single day, every single sheet. I flip through it every single day. But I'm in my binder is like, if I lost that, I would die. Like it's got all my info in it. So.
And for me, I want to be able to look at one page. And so I just have like my list on each calendar day. And I just go down my list and I cross off who as I send them those messages. So that works for me. So I don't think there's really a good blanket answer for that. You got to find what works for you and your personality.
I've switched it so many times and I always come back to this. I'm like, I'm going to do it all on the computer. I'm going to do it this way. And every single time I'm just like, stuff starts slipping, stuff starts not happening. And I'm just like, that's because you're trying to do things, not you. And because like somebody else shares like a really cool new idea. And I'm like, oh, I've got to do that. No, you don't. If you have something that works, don't change it up. Like that's just silly. If it's something's not working, then obviously, look into other things. If you're orange, you don't have to have a system. I can't say that loud enough for y'all. And Adina's not on here to back me up because she's on vacation. That sister does not have a binder. She does not have a system, a calendar, nothing. Okay. Like nothing. And she's an executive and she flies by the seat of her pants and she does it lovely. Okay. Some people are built like that. I am orange, but my gold will literally eat my orange person for lunch if I decided that I wasn't going to have a list of all the fun things that I was going to do that day. So it's just not an option. But if you are a very high orange person, okay, it's okay. Don't feel like you have to have a binder, have to have a system, have to. Adina has told me she's wasted so much money on calendars and systems. And she's like, I don't use them. I just don't use them. It never sticks. And I'm like, then why are you still trying? I don't know. I feel like I have to. I'm like, no, don't. It doesn't work for you. Stop it. You're wasting time. Just fly by the seat of your pants and do it. Tabitha Roach is also the same way. I will say that she does now have Artful Agenda. She really seems to like that. That is an online pretty calendar note taking thingy bobber. I thought about switching over to that. And then Tabitha is actually the one that was the voice of reason to me. And she was like, why are you switching from paper if that's what's really working for you? And I'm like, because it looks pretty. She's like, don't chase all the shiny things. Stay where you're at. Stay in your lane. Do what works for you. And I'm like, she's so right. She's so right. I'm buying another sheet of paper. Highlighters, pens, pencils, I literally have like all the things out all the time. Everything's got to have its, there's another girl after my heart. That's right. Like I go into Staples and my heart just gets so happy. Like, look at all the things. Every gold in here is like, yeah, but let's go to, that's like a great date. Like, let's all go to Panera and then go to Staples. It'll be so much fun. Or an Office Depot, anything. Our Pro Agenda worked for you, Natalie. Fantastic. Yes, like she really likes it because it's super flexible with whatever device she's on, wherever she's at. It really works for her. Whenever I am traveling, I literally, like we went to Vegas. I took my computer, I took my notebook, I took everything. But that's me. I'm not saying you have to work all the time. I'm saying I'm a workaholic. That does not need to be you. I am not saying you have to do that. It makes me happy. Literally. Bob took a 3-hour nap. I worked. Everybody's like, you're enjoying Vegas right now? I'm like, yeah, Bob's sleeping again. That makes him happy. Naps make him very happy. Me working just makes me really happy. Trello for host coaching, check off things. Yes, I know. Darcy's had me this close like 4 times about even looking at it, and every single time I backed out. But now with the new calendar thingy bobber, I think I'm gonna she's coming over to my house on Friday. So I'm gonna have her locked in my house, and she wants to talk about fostering and adopting and all these things. And I'm just like, no, we're not talking about any of that. We're gonna be talking about Trello. You're not getting any pizza until I figure this thing out. That is what's going to be going on over here. But I'm very excited for it. Christina, you're more than welcome to come, love. Actually, too, anybody that's in Ohio that wants, I'm going to be doing, April 22nd. I think I'm going to go do that. That My Name's Not Mom like thing that I was thinking about doing when we were down in Tulsa. I don't think it's going to work because then we're not going to have like an actual team meeting, and I can't expect everybody to want to spend money to go to that. And some people might not like my type of humor. So they're going to be in Ohio, and I'm kind of excited about it. So if you want to come, let me know. Send me a message. We're definitely going that night. I have a few other girlfriends that are coming. So, and no, you can't recruit them. That will be a rule. Okay. Everybody on board. Like I can just see everybody like signing people up underneath me like that night. Like, guess who I got to join? Your best friend that's coming with us. Isn't that nice? Oh, for Friday. Okay. I would totally fly out there, Jamie. You know I would. Absolutely. I was mad at Bob. We were on the flight home from Vegas, and Southwest had to kick 6 people off because we weighed too much. And so apparently there's like new flight restrictions on how much the whole plane can weigh, yada, yada, yada. So essentially 6 people need to get off. So like they're bribing people to get off the plane, and they offered a $600 voucher to get off that plane. And I was like, we're getting off, right? And Bob's like, no, I want to go home. And I'm like, why? We want to get off. Like, Bob, we could pay for like our tickets to the Bahamas if we get off the freaking plane right now and like get off the plane. No, I just really want to get home. And I'm like, oh, I was so angry. And see, I'm gonna yell at him when we get off this Zoom call. I could went and visited Jamie, but no, you want to stay on the plane. Anywho, I almost told him I was gonna I almost told him I was gonna get off without him. I was like, then you go home and take care of the kids. I'm gonna stay here and collect my $600. I'll see you later. He would have been a little angry though. So I probably shouldn't have run the weekend, and I didn't. I was being a healthy 8, not the 8 that really wanted to tell him what we were gonna do. I know, really, we should have gotten off the plane. I know. If we would have still been in Vegas, we would have. But it was on our layover. It wasn't, and I don't even know where the layover was. Don't ask me. I don't know. But if I just show up when I go to airports and somebody tells me where to go. If we would have still been in Vegas, I'm sure he would have gotten off the plane. But apparently we were somewhere he didn't care about me. He didn't. Okay. Any other questions? Are we good? I have Brownie Brittle that's calling my name.
Does anybody have questions? I do want to share or say this quick. If you have not read Life in Colors or found some other type of personality book to read that is great professional development for you all, and it's going to help you so much if you can start to analyze people's personalities and know how to communicate with them most effectively. Or even just to know, to spot like, okay, this person's a green. So for me, oranges, I have a real hard time working with oranges because I'm very structured. Brittany, you already know that. And you're also gold, so you don't count. But you know that I do have to ask you all the time, what do I do with this person? Like they're all over the place and I want structure. So that's something like I know that's a weakness of mine. And so I'm really good at spotting the oranges, and then I can better work with them because I'm aware of it quickly.
We don't normally hide.
Well, yeah, oranges are really easy, but even like greens for me, greens are a little bit harder for me to work with too. And so learning your own strengths and your own weaknesses, and then learning how to spot that in others is going to help you. It's going to help you with your new recruits so that you can get them off to a better start by knowing how to best work with them.
You're going to want to read Colors, Life in Colors, if you're going to want to talk UBAM shop all the time. But I feel like the Enneagram is much more integrated into UBAM culture now. A lot. That's how I got sucked into it. And now I'm obsessed. I'm not obsessed. I'm into it a lot. I love it. It's helped me in relationships, not in just UBAM either. It's helped me in relationships outside of UBAM, which have been extremely helpful. Yes. Is it on our e-commerce store, or is it just in the back office? It must be on the e-commerce. Liable said it was. I believe her. That's actually a book I've never read. I even have a signed copy from Randall. When you used to be, when you promoted, you got a signed copy from Randall. And yeah, I still have it somewhere. Never read that one though. And then whoever hasn't ate Brownie Brittle, you should totally buy that. I had it on the plane. Southwest passed it out as a snack. And I literally Googled it. And when I got home, they have salted caramel as well. I have ate more bags, and the serving size on the back is a joke. Don't even look at that. It's just going to anger you. It said it was supposed to be 5 servings for one of those bags. I'm lucky to make that 2. And I had to stretch that. Darcy, I might have bought another 4 bags tonight. So literally 4 bags. I bought 4 bags at Walmart tonight. I might get, yes, that's it. What Regina has. So good. So good. It's like the crispy burnt part, not burnt, but like the crispy parts of all the brownies, like all the edges. Oh, it's magic. You need to get the salted caramel kind one next, Regina. I watched Hogwarts. I got HBO for the flight. So I had to pay for the whole month, or whatever, because I wanted to watch the Harry Potter reunion thing. And so I splurged and spent $14.99 on HBO for a month. I already canceled the subscription. Don't worry. But they also had the HBO, or what was it? The Harry Potter, like Hogwarts tournaments of, anybody know what I'm talking about at all? Like they had the houses go against each other, like at a game show. It was really good. And so I've been eating Brownie Brittle at 2 a.m. watching that and talking to Natalie. That's what I've been doing. And then having to wake up at 7 in the morning with the kids. And I'm like, why do I keep doing this every night? I really need to stop. And it hasn't stopped. But luckily that show's now done. So back to young Sheldon, I go. For some reason, I've been in like